And good afternoon. This is Frank Holzhauser, and this is Frankly Speaking Live. And it's been a while since I've been here. I've been off a couple of weeks, and my co-host David Kenyuk has graciously filled in a couple of episodes with some friends of his. And David is supposed to be here tonight, but he gave me a call about 10 minutes ago and said he was stuck on I-235 traffic jam heading towards downtown. So I assume he will be here shortly. I may have to recruit Maddie, lovely and vivacious Maddie, who is now eating for two. Maddie is how many weeks?
I am 24.
24. She had a picture on her thing. Now, in the interest of disclosure, Maddie, the last show, or the last time I was down here and you or I were here, I noticed that you were a little bit showing something around the abdomen area.
Right.
And as a man, I have learned that it is very dangerous to assume and say something, because if you're wrong...
Oh, even other ladies can't get away with it.
Well, I think ladies have a little bit better time because they comment about each other anyway, but it's off limits and verboten for men.
Right.
So I wanted to say something to you because I kind of suspected that you were with something, but I dared not. But I saw it on Facebook, saw some pictures that you had posted, so I pretty well thought the cat's out of the bag. So congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And hope everything goes well for you. And
Oh, I'm sure it will.
key to the whole thing is prenatal.
Yes, sir.
So how's life been treating you?
Pretty well. Going to work, going to school. We're making ends meet. I don't have any complaints.
And speak of the handsome young cuss. Here
Well,
he comes
hello.
now.
How's it going?
Hello, ladies.
Frank, what's going on? It seems like it's been forever.
Yeah, what was that WWE character?
Val Venus, I think is what you're going for.
Hello, ladies.
ladies.
Then we had the ravishing one, Rick Rude.
Right, and then over in NXT, you've got Tyler Breeze, who's known as Prince Pretty. And I think he's a great wrestler. When he finally comes up, he's going to be
Now,
fantastic.
I want all you fat, lazy, ugly men here in the room to shut up while I take this towel off for the ladies.
Now, did you get a chance to watch WrestleMania?
No, but I did hear some reports on it. There was a couple of good matches. I heard the Dolph Ziggler match was pretty good.
Well, yeah, he was in the eight-man ladder match.
I kind of heard the Undertaker and Bray Wyatt was kind of slow motion.
It was. I mean, I don't expect much out of the Undertaker at this stage in his career, but for what it was a good match. The whole show overall was pretty solid. There was nothing that was like stand out about it, but it was just like a really solid show though overall. It was fun. We covered it last week, so
Okay. As
Still reeling
the
about it.
wrestling connoisseurs.
That's right. And of course, AJ Lee retired last week. So
Yeah,
that's
I heard that. That was kind of unusual that she made this brief entrance back into the WWE and then.
Yeah. Now, what is that you have in your hand? Is that a new
This is
tracking
a
device?
Well, it's yes. Government, come and find me. This is a smartphone that Mac had to get a new phone.
Uh-huh.
For a different app for the program or something, and it wouldn't load up on this.
Yeah, every time I try to download the Webcast One app on my Imperial.
Well,
Android,
the deal is it'll get changed, but the deal is now we used to be able, and I think it was because we was paying for it, but we can no longer get live stream video
right.
with the apps, only audio. And that's what the computer is out here to not touch, is that's helping stream the audio only.
Oh, crazy. Huh.
So once they get moved over to Merle Hay Mall.
I just thought it was like a cat-like computer. It just doesn't like to be touched.
Yes.
So they're going over to Merle Hay Mall.
Yes, they're going to have the 6th floor of the Merle Hay Tower.
Oh, neat. That's where the radio station.
Yeah, the station will be there, and
what is it? 91 point.
99.3, but they're going to
99.3,
try to
the
have the
truth.
phone number something 00 or something prefix 0993.
I see.
That's kind
Oh,
of
that makes sense. Yeah.
That's what I think. WOW 98's letters used to be 3120983.
That's exciting, though. That is really
Yeah,
exciting that
it's,
he's getting that deal done. And
Yeah, I think this one supposedly is for good. They were going to be on the north side, but that kind of fell through. The guy backed out of the deal at the last minute.
Oh,
and
crazy.
Didn't want a 200-foot tower. I thought everything was okay, and then all of a sudden a 200-foot tower became an issue.
yeah.
But they don't care what you put
Afraid
up.
of lightning.
They don't care what you put up on the roof of the Merle Hay Towers.
Right. Just as long as somebody's in the tower.
Well, in some respects, really, if you analyze it, besides Jordan Creek, Merle Hay's kind of holding its own against Valley West and Southridge.
Right. Well, Southridge has been dead for
Yeah.
years.
It's all but extinct.
I don't know why that's even still open. But yeah, Merle Hay kind of has to be really kitschy about what it does. I mean, they had the zoo in there for a little while,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other stuff. So this microphone's just not wanting
Yeah,
to cooperate with me today.
Well,
Look at
this
my
one
position just right.
Well, you might
right
wanna-
here.
You might want to straighten the microphone with the arm and then try to lift the arm.
Well, we'll get to that. It's funny that you had that we're talking about the Imperial Droid. I was just thinking I was late because of an accident on I-235 on the way over. I was holding things up. So I've got a Galaxy S3. It's going to be about 3 generations behind now, and I don't really want anything more
Hey,
advanced.
the 5 minutes after they come out, they're 3 generations behind.
Exactly. But one thing on here. So every morning, it'll give me a little update as to what traffic is on my way to work before I leave for the morning. Before I leave for home, it'll give me an update on traffic for home. When I was sitting in my car, it was like 30 minutes to your destination, which it pointed as here. Now, here's the thing about that. I've never put in my coordinates as to where my work is, where my home is. I never put in my coordinates that I come here, but it just knows that I come here that I leave my job at 5 o'clock every Friday to be here at 5:30, and that I go to work to be there at 9 a.m. every day.
Well, they may one day need to triangulate you and drop a missile in your back pocket.
Well, you just cut right to what I was getting to. It's it's feeding all of this data. It's learning what I'm doing by observing my location-based data on a daily basis, and it's feeding all that into the computer, and it's predicting where I'm going to be on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So think about this: if you've got another person with a similar device, and you visit them regularly, then it's feeding that information up to Google's computers, and it knows, okay, well you hang out with so and so every day, so it's creating its own intelligence dossier on you.
Yeah.
And then it gets even. You think about. That basically is what the metadata is that you hear about in the news all the time. That's what it is. It's little location-based data like that, websites that you visit and everything, text messages that you send. It's little metadata like that. So you're building your own intelligence dossier and sending that up to Google or Apple. The NSA and any other intelligence agency now is just collecting that data without any type of warrants whatsoever.
During the
And to your point, like you were just joking a little bit about, well, they know where to hit you, but that is the danger, and the danger is not necessarily that it's all the data that's being collected. The danger is when they decide to change the parameters of what is right and wrong, what is lawful and what is unlawful.
Sure.
And in 2009. I know we've talked about this before, but 2009, you had that Missouri Information Intelligence Analysis Report, the MIAC report, which was released, and that was through the Missouri Information Fusion Center, which is an intelligence fusion center that they have for law enforcement agencies, not only in Missouri, but every state. And they said that potential terrorists were people who were anti-abortion, anti-UN, may have supported Ron Paul, Bob Barr, or Chuck Baldwin, who are constitutionalists. They even specified anybody who may have a constitution in their car or an anti-UN bumper sticker are potential terrorists. Now that blows my mind. So when something like that is outlawed, I'm not breaking the law, but
Yeah.
I could be breaking the law when whatever I do is declared unlawful, or whatever I believe is declared unlawful, like Christianity is declared unlawful.
One of the interesting things you'll find on Jennifer Flowers' death watch of the Clintons. I don't know if her website is still up, but she was mentioning back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that Alltel was looking at the time. The government was looking to Alltel at the time to develop a computer software program that would capture every electronic message that went across the country, whether it was a fax, whether it was an email, a telephone transmission, whatever. So this is nothing new under the sun, but
Right.
Everything's stored on the cloud now. But they have definitely refined and come a long way since the early 2000s.
Right, and now they've got that dream, that they've been looking for. And Google is a company that was founded by NSA seed money. There was just a story on Drudge last night about how closely related Google is with the Obama administration. They've been meeting with them since, before he was elected president. They've been meeting with him as far back as 2007. But the thing is, one of the other points that I wanted to raise is that this is all, they feed all this data in, and then it tells you the conditions to get to your, work or home based off of predictive programming. So that's just a very kind of not Stone Age, but it's a very simplistic form of predictive programming. So the algorithms that they have behind the scenes are programming that is being used to shape future events. So they're trying to predict future events and then try and shape public opinion around.
They're better trying to serve you in their, when you're out to spend your expendable cash,
right? Which they're trying to outlaw now.
They want to cut to the chase and show you what you need to buy. It's to better cater your buying service.
Well, it's not just like Google and Amazon that are doing it now. I think Amazon even have programs that are so sophisticated they will get items ready to ship before you've even clicked that you want to buy them.
Well, it's been a while, and I'm not gonna. You're gonna have to, Maddie, remind me of the breaks because I've been kind of. I'm on a different thing when I'm on the radio. We start at the top of the hour as opposed to the bottom.
Oh, Mr. Fancy Radio guy here.
But 2 minutes to the break. But I don't know what I didn't get a chance to listen to the last show you done, so I don't know what you guys covered last week. But we obviously have the Iranian quote unquote nuke deal potential, right, or whatever to discuss. We got Harry Reid to discuss and how he got his supposed eye put out.
Yeah.
There's some rumors going around that his brother punched him out.
That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's true or not. I certainly don't buy it was an exercise accident story. I think it was maybe a mafioso type that isn't getting the cut that he wants.
Then we had Harry Reid, I guess, basically acknowledging that he told just a bald-faced outright lie about Mitt Romney, saying that Romney didn't pay his taxes, and is not one bit ashamed to say, well, he didn't win, did he?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no censure or anything like that. If they're not going to censure or do anything against Obama, why are they going to do anything against
Well, listen, just
Harry
for giggles,
retiring?
I want to say that Harry Reid asked me to take some, I'm a photographer in my spare time, and he wanted to know if I could take some pictures of him and a Shetland pony together. And offered me $5 to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess... prove me wrong. Prove that didn't happen. That's what Harry Reid is saying,
Right.
So we're hit our first break. So this has been Frankly Speaking Live. I got to get used to saying that.
You're back in the saddle again, Frank.
Because I've been saying View from a Pew. So... But this is Frank Holzhauser, and your host and my co-host David Kaniuk, and we will be back after the break.
Real Estate Concept Studios. This is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart, and it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
And we're back with Frankly Speaking Live. I'm your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kaniuk, and Maddie producing. Give out the call number here if you'd like to join the conversation. That's 515-244-0077. It's been a while since I talked to you, and I haven't talked to you on the phone for a while, so I didn't know exactly what you guys talked about the last time you was on the show, but this story's a little old, so bear with me here for a second. But there's a push in the media now that they think Hillary's getting pretty close to announcing and going to run, that they've give out a list of words.
Yeah, Saturday or Sunday, I believe.
They give out a list of words and phrases that you can't say about Hillary. So these words are now off the table, and kind of a weird list of words, but here's words that you cannot use about Hillary Clinton. Polarizing, calculating, disingenuous, insincere, ambitious, inevitable, entitled, overconfident, secretive, will do anything to win, represents the past, or out of touch. Now, any of those things, now you didn't hear pantsuit with a mustache mentioned in there anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see anything there? Now, if you use any of these words, you will be accused of being a sexist, a misogynist.
Well, any criticism whatsoever of Hillary is going to be categorized as misogynistic or sexist or whatever. So basically, it's the don't criticize Hillary list. And I seem to remember a headline on Drudge from this week saying that people were considering it offensive if you even call Hillary by her first name. So what are we supposed to refer to as? Is it Her Holiness or what is it?
I guess.
I'll try and find that article. It sounds like you've got a caller.
Yeah, we got a caller. We're going to bring on with us. It's Tom. You with us, Tom?
Yes, I am, Frank.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, Frank. Hey, I wondered if you're going to talk about that high school story. I think it was Dowling High School had a walkout because of a teacher that didn't get hired.
Yeah, we can talk about that. What's your feelings on it?
Well, you know, to me, it's a prime example of what's going on in this country. You've got young people who believe that to be Christian means as long as I feel good about what I'm doing, that means God feels good about me. And so they feel good, like they're doing this teacher a favor by protesting, but they don't actually look at the words that Jesus wrote, you know, that said, well, marriage is between a man and a woman. And the big difference, so then they try and point out, the big push now, Matt McCoy, Senator Matt McCoy, homosexual activist, was on Simon Conway's show, and he tried to say, well, all we want is for the church to be non-hypocritical. You can't just pick and choose which sin you want to say can't be allowed. Well, here's the difference, and this is huge. When you get married as a homosexual, to a marriage between a man and a woman to a woman, is a commitment to keep sinning. It's not, I did this, I repented, I swear I'll try my best not to do it again. It's, I'm going to commit to keep committing this. I'm going to make a commitment that I'm going to keep committing this sin. And that's the difference, and it's huge.
Hey, Tom, do you ever watch the Kelly Files on Fox News?
I quit. I used to.
Okay.
Very wise.
Dave will give you a second to that. But Leslie Marshall, I don't know if you've heard that name, but I'm sure you've seen her. She's a radio host that's frequently on Fox News as a commentator. She said on the Kelly Files on April the 2nd that Jesus would cater a gay wedding. What do you think of that, Tom?
That's pretty ridiculous. This is the tactic of people like her and anybody who's for gay marriage. They take something Jesus said in general, like love each other, and try to say that overrules what he said specifically about marriage, which is, have you not heard in the beginning the Creator made them male and female, therefore a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become as one flesh. How interesting. He also ruled up polygamy with that situation.
Sure.
It's like, so he couldn't be more clear about marriage, but they're trying to say because he loved, well, and he never said, for that matter, Jesus never said, I love you to anybody.
Well, let me ask you this, Tom. The common term that they use is acceptance. So if I accept my homosexual neighbor, I guess I've got to accept their behavior. Mm-hmm. But Christ didn't accept behavior. He loved the sinner. He lifted the sinner up. He ministered to the sinner. He clothed them. He healed them. He fed them. He ministered to their physical needs. But quickly before he turned them loose into the world, he said, "What? Go and sin no more." So he didn't leave them in sin and leave them in error about their sin.
Absolutely right.
Dave?
Well, yeah, I was going to jump in, and you're not going to stop people from sinning. We don't have a religious-backed government. We have a secular government, which is how we should have. So if Tommy and George want to get married or live together or do whatever they want to do, that's their business. But the issue that I have here is that Tommy has come to an institution that is a religious institution. Dowling Catholic High School is an outreach of the Catholic Church ministry, which specifically teaches against homosexuality. So he goes into that institution fully knowing what that institution teaches. You would have to know that. He has to sign, I would assume, most religious-based schools make you sign an agreement. Some
sort of ethics agreement.
Exactly, saying that you follow the tenets of the church, you believe in the Bible, you're not going to you're not going to do anything against the tenets of the church or the Bible. You sign that out of your own free will, just as you sin out of your own free will. So he's violated the agreement that he would have had to have signed to become a teacher or whatever at Dowling Catholic. So really, he's violating the tenets of that.
That's right. And I would say, I posted this on April the 2nd, Tom, and it kind of pertained to Mike Pence and the conflict over in Indiana, but I can apply it to this too. And I basically said, if you're going to make a stand for marriage or religious free speech, then stick by your guns and don't apologize for nothing. And don't wuss out like Mike Pence, because all you do is create a feeding frenzy when the blood is smelt in the water.
Absolutely.
I get so tired of gutless Republicans and so-called conservatives when they see how fast they can back down and fall all over themselves to not offend anyone. God came to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable. Too freaking bad that a stand for truth offends a heathen. Listen, Tom, I'm going to tell you. People say, well, you only minister to the brethren. John the Baptist ministered to the brethren, but he also called his generations, the Jews, a generation of vipers. And particularly, he was pointing out the adulterous sin of Herod Antipas, who was married to his brother's wife, Herodias. I think it was Herod Philip the First or Philip the Second. I can't remember which of these brothers the wife belonged to. Mm-hmm. But he pointed out their adulterous behavior, and he asked them over and over to repent, and it cost him his head. But Christ said, no greater man born of woman than John the Baptist. And John the Baptist called his generation a generation of vipers. Now, what's characteristics of a viper? They lay in wait. They lay waiting for their prey.
The RKO out of nowhere.
They RKO out of nowhere. But
they were using the Garden of Eden to speak the devil's words.
Yes. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're going to make a stand, and I will tell you right now, any institution that makes a stand for the Lord, I don't care if it's a restaurant, I don't care if it's the Gort's house, I don't care what it is. If a Christian institution makes a stand against homosexual behavior and marriage particularly, and they get boycotted, Christians should stand up in droves and visit these businesses and spend their money at these businesses. We got to support people who are making a stand.
Right, like Chick-fil-A Day. And I think we should also decide where to spend our dollars. Look at who's speaking up for the other side. The head of Apple Computers, you want to talk about hypocrisy. He sells his product in countries that kill you for being homosexual.
Listen,
yet he's against Indiana because they don't, they want to protect religious rights.
Sure.
Well, they got a lot of disposable income.
Well, listen, Tom, Ellen DeGeneres, she was a spokesperson for JCPenney's. I bought a lot of dress shirts at JCPenney's, Levi-style dress shirts. I didn't quit shopping at JCPenney's because they had Ellen DeGeneres as a spokesperson. I don't care what two people do in their own bedroom. That's not my job. But my job is to stand up for marriage, because that institution came straight out of the Garden of Eden. And God said, what God hath joined together, let no man put asunder. That means a union, a particular union, don't let man put asunder. And that means don't be messing and changing my institution. Don't take two things which I haven't put together and try to jab those things together. I mean, you can beat a square peg into a round hole all day, but that doesn't mean it fits, and that doesn't mean it's supposed to work that way.
Well, what I'm more concerned about is 3% of the U.S. population basically trying to push forward and reclassify traditional religion as hate speech.
That's right.
And that's really what it boils down to. Well, it's one of the things that it boils down to. There are even more levels going high above it that I'll cover in another show.
And if you know who Tammy Bruce is, another radio talk show host, Tammy Bruce is a professed lesbian. And she was on Fox News one night talking to, I don't remember which show she was on, but she basically was in total agreement with this, that this is just outright persecution and oppression of Christians to try to force them. You notice, Tom, they're not going after Ahmed and Sons. Mm-hmm. They're not going after Eli and Sons.
You'll also notice that Christians don't go after Ahmed and Sons or anything like that. They just live and let live. But we're the ones that are supposed to be hateful.
They're targeting Christians. And, Tom, it's legal in 7 Arab countries to stone atheists to death. And I'm sure they're not fond of homosexuals, but and they outright oppress and abuse women. But we're the ones that are always declaring war on minorities or declaring war on women, when the war is really being declared in the Arab countries, but we fall all over ourselves not to offend Islam. Does this make any sense to you?
Well, of course not. But I quit shopping at JCPenney's when they put out ads endorsing homosexual couple adoption. They put out a Father's Day ad that said, Dad is like superhero, blah, 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 this, that, all rolled up into one or two. Oh, okay. So I took the ad in, and I went to the manager, and I said, I specifically will not shop here again, and I pulled out the ad and said, this is why.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted them to know why I wasn't coming back, not just quit shopping there, because then they can blame that on a million different reasons. You got to let them know. And you said when a group stands up like Chick-fil-A did, that was a great day when Chick-fil-A had lines going outside the mall and around the building and stuff. But I think it's going to be when individuals stand up, and every time a politician walks out of his house, he runs into a dozen or more Christians who ask him why you're not standing up for the believers in Christ when you're supposed to be one. You know, when he cannot get away from the pressure that we can create. I mean, just think, the reason gay marriage is in Iowa is because when they said, well, let's go to the courthouse steps, you know, first time they had maybe 200 people, you know, when how many thousands and thousands and thousands were against it, but just didn't bother to come, you know, that, well, I don't have time, I'm too busy, whatever. Well, guess what? You know, the other side wants what they want bad.
All right. And Tom,
we're headed for the break. So thanks for your call. But listen, before you go, you can't praise God and praise the world in the same breath.
Okay. Well, what did I?
Pardon?
Did I praise God and praise the world?
No. I said a man can't praise God and praise the world in the same breath.
Right. You can't worship God, the Creator, and the created.
Yeah, I wasn't referring to you. I was trying to get something in there real quick before the break.
Okay. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, you're welcome. Call again.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Boom, boom, bang, bang. Lie down.
And we're back with Frankly Speaking Live. I'm your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Canu, Kamati Producing. And I want to thank Tom for his call. I just wanted to clarify, because Tom was on the line and I kind of caught something in there just before the break, and I wanted to say, as Christians, we cannot profess God and the world in the same breath. So we have to make a stand, one for one or the other. So that was the point I was trying to quickly get in there before the break. The other thing I wanted to talk about was a couple of 3 disturbing stories. Now, I know you and Tom aren't great fans of Fox News, and so, but let me introduce what I'm trying to say this way. We've had just 3 outright lies. Ferguson, Missouri, a rape story by Rolling Stone, and this Harry Reid thing that was just an outright lie that the liberal media ran with. While Fox was keeping alive the Benghazi story, whether you believe what they was keeping alive was legitimate, they was keeping the story alive. They was keeping it in the media. Now, it may not have been to your satisfaction of it was a weapons depot, but they was keeping the story alive. They kept the Lois Lerner story alive. They kept the Fast and Furious story alive. They kept these stories alive when nobody else was covering it, when MSNBC's nightly coverage was a bridge closing by Chris Christie.
Wait, is that bridge still closed?
And CNN's top story every night for seems like a year was the missing airliner.
Right.
So I'm not saying Fox does everything right and wonderful and divine, but what I am saying is if it wasn't for Fox, there wouldn't be any even partial truth on the news. And these 3 stories are very disturbing that Jonathan Capehart, and I only mention this because I'm not mentioning it to slam him, but I think he's a homosexual. Now, I just happened to look up Jonathan Capehart.
I'm not sure who that is.
Okay, he's a commentator on MSNBC.
Okay.
He's a black gentleman, and I just happened to come across a bio or profile of him, and he has a partner. So I was right that he was gay, and the only reason I mentioned that he's gay is because we're told or we're taught that gays are more thoughtful. Jonathan Capehart has come out and said, I accepted a lie, and I spread a lie, and I apologize, and I'm sorry. He made a public apology that he jumped in on this Ferguson, Missouri, and he said, basically, after I have read the Eric Holder Justice Department report, he says, I can come to no other conclusion but hands up, don't shoot did not happen. And he said, I repeated that lie, and he says, I want to apologize that I was partaking in that lie.
Well, that's good for him. That's a rare moment of integrity.
And I stand up and I applaud that.
Yeah.
And he is being hammered.
Really?
By the liberal media.
Really?
They are hammering this thoughtful, black, liberal, progressive because he's off the plantation now and is saying something that isn't popular.
Well, that gets into what I've talked about with the false left-right paradigm and party lines and everything like that. If you go into Fox News and you say something that is against the right party line, they're going to hammer you for that. Just as this guy on MSNBC is getting hammered for not staying with the hands up, don't shoot thing. If he were to denounce Al Sharpton on MSNBC, well, there would be holy hell to raise. Well, if someone were to go onto Fox News, onto Sean Hannity's program, and denounce Ronald Reagan, Sean Hannity's toupee might fall off. I mean, it would just be, be terrible.
Well, here's my question. I mean, I know you're going to disagree about the wars, whether we should have been in those wars or not. But I can't think of a similar story that Fox News just absolutely cooked up out of thin air, that there was no validation to the story whatsoever of these 3 things, like the rape case that Rolling Stone covered, that just was outright fabrication. You could go back to the Duke lacrosse story. You could go back to all these stories that there's a racial element in it. It paints a narrative that they already think. They jump on the story. They tell you the story like it's gospel, and then when it's not gospel, they don't even say, "Oops, never mind."
Right. The problem with Fox News, it's the same problem that I have with the rest of the mainstream media. They are covering it just mostly from their right cover angle. They're giving you truth, but it's spun truth. It's not the whole truth. Just like if you watch MSNBC, you're going to get a lot less truth than you would. A lot less truth. I agree. Absolutely, you're going to get a lot less truth than you would get on Fox News.
Right.
I'm not saying Fox News is all bad, but my problem is, here's the thing. I'm much harder on people that I would consider conservative and Christian than I am on liberals. Why is that? It's not because I love liberals more. It's because I love conservative Christians more. And I want them to know what's going on. Most people, if you still support Obama, I'm sorry, but you're either absolutely ignorant or you're stupid or you're a traitor to this country. That's all there is to it. But people like you and I'm much harder on people like you and I because I have higher expectations.
Sure. Well, we've got about 18 minutes till the end of the show. So I want to talk about Rand Paul's entrance into the Republican Party nomination for president. He announced his campaign this week. And so what's your reaction? And have you seen the news stories about the fact that he's quote unquote attacked a couple female reporters for their questions?
Well, sometimes female reporters get a little too lippy.
Like Maddie? Who, me? Not me.
They're going to come at Rand Paul with anything that they can. Obviously, I'm happy that he's in. It's not unexpected that he's in. I mean, he's pretty much been maneuvering in since he was elected to the Senate that he was going to run for president. It's kind of been the open secret. I guess my excitement level is a little bit tempered because I don't think that he is going to be allowed to advance very far. I don't think that he has a snowball's chance in Hades of getting the nomination. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to support him. I am going to support him. I think he's the best person that is running as a Republican that can possibly be running right now.
My feelings about it is we need a strong, healthy, robust fight for the direction of the party.
Right.
Rand Paul's voice is certainly welcome on my part. And I could support him as a candidate. I don't think he's quite as extreme on his. My two basic issues with both Pauls, is the legalization of drugs and their foreign policy. But now,
well, wait a second.
Well,
they're not for legalization of drugs.
Well,
they're
I know.
for decriminalization. That's a big difference.
Yeah, I understand. But keeping in mind that supposedly some reports have come out that Paul is backtracking a little bit and is come out for some increased defense spending and has come out for supporting more aid for Israel.
And I'm not really thrilled about that. He's not quite as much of a Puritan as his father is, Ron Paul. But that being said, would I rather have Ron Paul as the nominee than Jeb Bush? Yes. I'm not going to vote for Jeb Bush if he's the nominee. Would I rather have Ron Paul than Chris Christie? Yes. Ron Paul over Scott Walker? Yes. He's clearly the best one. Everybody else represents the same old of the establishment Republican wing that has failed time and time again. That's why he's being attacked by Republicans. There was an attack ad that immediately came out by the same group that helped fund John McCain's reelections and funded the Swift boat operations that basically ended like that LBJ ad with a mushroom cloud at the end because of Iran. Well, that's just ridiculous. If you got a guy who's being attacked from both the left and the right, then there's probably something really good about that guy.
Like I say, that's
the guy that I want.
We've got about 15 minutes for this final conversation, so I want to conflate two stories.
Well, let me finish up before we go with that. Rand Paul is also, if you notice in the polls, he's the only Republican candidate who's beating Hillary in Iowa and would beat Hillary nationwide. So you're not going to have anybody else.
I want to kind of conflate two stories here. I want to talk about Rand Paul into the nominee process, and I want to kind of conflate that with the Iran nuke deal.
Okay.
And we've got about 15 minutes left in the show, but what's your feelings on what's your feelings on the fact that Congress wants in this? They want to exert their authority that they should have in this. The Congress has been slackers for years and years and years on trade deals and whatever. But this is the things that Congress should be involved in.
Right.
What's your feelings? Because here's the premise of why I ask you this.
Well, here, let me ask you a question real quick. Did Ronald Reagan, when he signed missile deals with like nuclear arms reduction deals with the Soviets back during the Cold War, I mean, did he consult Congress on that?
I can't say that he did, but
and I'm not saying that
Congress has shirked their responsibilities and their duties.
Yeah, I agree,
here's
totally.
the reason I mention this. Let me get this out because we got a lot to cover. Howard Dean, none other than good old Rebel Scream, Primal Scream, Howard Dean. We're going all the way to somewhere, Tom Harkin.
Man, I remember listening to that on the radio live. I was like, this guy's...
Well, what was really cool is when they played it over and over and over.
I thought he had won because I just dropped in on the speech, and he said that. I was like, wow, he's fired up for winning. And then the guy comes on, the radio commentator comes on, and Howard Dean is excited about his third place finish. I was like, what? Anyway.
Well, we got a break in about 30 seconds, but Howard Dean, I think, was on Chris Matthews or one of the MSNBC shows and basically gave somewhat of a repeat of the Obamacare is we need to see the deal before we criticize the deal. Now, that just sounds like setting up for a repeat of the health care bill. We don't know what's in it till we pass it.
And the FCC deal and every other deal that gets pushed through without any type of congressional oversight. I agree. I'm absolutely for congressional oversight on what deal is being
So this has been Frankly Speaking and live with your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kaniuk, and we will be back to hammer out these two issues in the remaining minutes of the show. Join us when we return.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
And we're back with Frankly Speaking Live. I'm your host, Frank Holzhauser, and my co-host, David Kaniuk. Basically, I want to spend the remaining 10 minutes here talking about your feelings on, quote-unquote, the Iranian nuke deal, whether you think Congress should or should not be involved. And let's not bring up the sins of our forefathers and what Reagan done, because Obama promised us that he was going to be the new sheriff. He was going to run a different administration. It was going to be transparent. Everything was going to be above board. So let's not go back to the sins of Reagan, the sins of Bush, the sins of...
I wasn't trying to be contentious.
I
wasn't sure. I just wanted to raise the point.
No, I'm not. I say that to anybody because they always want to hammer you what Reagan done or Bush done, whatever. My answer is He begged for the job. He wanted the job. Now, should he go to Congress and get this approved? Supposedly there's 9 senators on record, Democrat senators, including Chuck U. Schumer, who they say potentially will take Harry Reid's spot when Harry retires, is against this nuke deal and wants it brought to Congress. Will there be a veto-proof majority? It's going to require, 57 Republicans. They would need 10 Democrats. They're talking they may be about one shy. Will there be a veto-proof majority if Obama tries to go this alone, tries to cowboy it?
I'm not sure. Probably not.
Because remember, George Bush was a cowboy.
Right.
Barack Obama is not.
He's a thinking man.
So he's the thinking man.
He's a constitutional scholar.
Yes.
There probably won't be. Obama would probably be allowed to go ahead and negotiate the nuke deal on his own. Congress is not wanted to take up the mantle of fighting him on anything else. Although I don't know, they may. There's enough senators in AIPAC's back pockets that they may want to. I have contended that Iran has not been as vigorous with developing a nuclear weapon as they have been made out to be in the mainstream media. That point was proven in the 2007 National Intelligence Estimate, which was leaked to the media back in 2007 when the mainstream media all across the board were pounding the drums of war. After years of war in Iraq, they were pounding the drums of war, saying that Iran was a nuke and Iran was about to get a nuke. And then they leaked the National Intelligence Estimate, which was, Bush's advisor saying, no, they stopped developing a nuclear weapon 5 years ago, and they don't have the capability.
Hey, Maddie, bring up that verse. This is something I maybe wanted to get into the show earlier, but it pertains to this conversation.
So anyway, I am for a peaceful solution to this. I don't think that nuclear weapons are at the heart of why we're so gung-ho to go to war with Iran at this point. Iran, if you really think about it, they could have purchased, and this is what I told Brad Zahn back at Billy Joe's when I ran into him back when Billy Joe's was still open, and he was supporting Michelle Bachmann. We were talking about foreign policy, and he was saying that he didn't like Ron Paul's view on foreign policy, and he thought he should be tougher on Iran. To which I replied, well, if you really think about it, Iran has had nukes probably for about 10 years. They could purchase anything that they want off the black market.
I think if they had it, Hezbollah would have strapped it on and it would have been let off in Israel. I don't think there's any way they got it.
Why? Israel's just going to...
Hezbollah is just a sworn enemy, and Hamas is sworn enemies of Israel. And if Iran could possibly funnel them a nuke, it would have been done.
Hezbollah was set up with help from Israel, actually.
Bring up my verse a second here. We've had some arguments on air, you and I, about maybe the dual purposes of certain things, but I don't think there's a dual purpose to this, as like to the Jews or to the end time. Basically, Matthew 24:14 says, "In this gospel the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole earth as testimony to all nations, kindred, and tongue. Then the end will come." Okay, you can bring that down. Basically, I bring that up only to mention that Ron Paul's both been accused of, get my glasses on here, isolationism, non-intervention, meddling, or the Pauls say we shouldn't meddle or be world police.
Right, which is the view of the founding fathers.
In some ways, how do we get the gospel to the whole world unless we've got our footprints in these countries?
That's not the mission of the United States to spread the gospel throughout the entire world. That's the mission of the church to spread the gospel throughout the entire world. But we have to be
aided by the government to have relations with some of these governments for the protection of our missionaries, the protection of our people, that our people shouldn't be subject to capture, beheading, burning alive in a cage.
Our government's not going to guarantee that. That's ridiculous to think that the government, just because our government has a footprint in every nation on earth, that our citizens, if they travel, if our citizens travel to that nation on the earth, that they're going to be immune from any sort of danger. That's just not possible. The government can't can't protect us from every single danger.
And
at
I'm not
home.
suggesting that, but what I am suggesting is we have our footprint in the Arab world for a reason. And whether you want to discard this reason or not, you can call it the World Bank. I just call it fossil fuel is in our national interest, our national security interest, and the interest of our allies. We're going to have our footprint there. We're going to be there. China has said they will go to war for fossil fuel. So my point is, if we got our footprint in these countries, we can't let these countries walk all over us and behead our citizens and drag our citizens in the street.
We can have our footprint in different countries, but having our footprint in different countries should mean having our footprint with trade and commerce in different countries, not through imperialistic outposts in different countries. That only creates problems. That creates what the CIA has called blowback.
But would
and
Rand Paul...
What Ron Paul has been criticized about, and this is at the heart of why he says, well, we shouldn't have all these outposts, is because of this blowback. It only creates tension in different nations from people who resent us being there.
Do you want Russia or China in charge of half or more of the world's oil supply and let them dictate to us if we can have a little? Or would you rather have us in charge, a little fairer, more even-handed people that wants everybody to have some instead of somebody holding us hostage?
Well, that's a pretty big presumption that we're even-handed and fair about absolutely
I'm
everything. I'm
not saying totally even-handed, but we're not out to...
I would like to explore our own oil reserves
and
that
I'm
we
right
have
on
in
board
Alaska
with that.
and different parts of the country before we go around and decide to start wars in other nations and cause misery and chaos in those nations for oil. I would rather explore alternative measures of energy before I go and start a number of different wars and kill people, because there is blood on your hands when you do that, and that is called a sin of a nation. And when you have that many sins of a nation, then that means your nation will end up being
But
judged.
you do realize that we're in this for our allies also, that we have Israel that imports 86% of their oil. We have England who imports 90-some% of their oil. We have Japan that imports 90-some% of their oil. We have friends and allies who we don't want to have nukes. And if we allow Iran to get a nuke, then it's nuclear proliferation going on, because Egypt's going to step up and want nukes. Saudi Arabia is going to step up and want nukes. And it's going to be all-out nuclear proliferation.
Well, have you ever thought? Well, it's already nuclear proliferation, because you've got India, Pakistan with nukes. You've got Israel with nukes. That's been an open secret for years. So why wouldn't a country like Iran, and I'm not saying Iran is a great, wonderful nation or anything like that, but when you have a country that has been basically bullied, you've got people who have been banging the drum of war. We got to attack Iran. We got to attack Iran. We got to attack Iran for, at least 10 years now. Why wouldn't you say, you know what? These people are coming. We better put up the walls and defend ourselves.
Well, we got a minute or two here.
That only makes sense.
Do you think Rand Paul will draw us out of these countries? Do you think we will be isolationists and non-interventionists under the Rand Paul administration?
First of all, you're confusing isolationists with non-interventionism. Just because if we pull out of nations does not mean that we're isolationists. We're for trade and commerce and communication with nations. We're not for imperial outposts in every nation. Now, to answer your question, though, do I think that we're going to, close all these bases down under a Rand Paul presidency? I do not.
Well, we spent a lot of money to get an embassy and hopefully an air base in Iraq, and we spent a lot of blood and treasure to get that. And Obama just, I'm sorry.
And it was needless blood and treasure.
Obama basically pissed it away.
Think about all that blood and treasure that was spent.
But as long as you spend it, aren't you obligated to honor the people who died to get it? Or do you just pull out and say, oh, well, hands off, let them have at each other?
So are the Germans obligated to follow Nazism because a bunch of German soldiers died in World War II? I don't think so.
No, I'm talking about our troops.
Anyway, that's it for Frankly Speaking.
Right.
We'll see you next week. Join us for Wayne Carter coming up next in about 30 minutes.